nothing happens. Best time to take action is now.
This is the time to work on you and your business.
So I've created a group,
An online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you
to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen.
see you in Power Partners.
Friday, everyone. Your real worth isn't defined by your net worth. What makes you valuable is how you use what you have been given. All of us have gifts. Make sure you're making the most of yours. Have an amazing Friday.
It is now the bottom of the hour. I'm excited to welcome Nancy Matthews to our program today. Nancy is an author of a book. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in the carousel for you guys. There it is, The One Philosophy. I want to talk to Nancy not only about the re-release of the book, but also what it's been like for her to share the message with all of you guys. Nancy, great to have you on with us.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here.
Bonjour. ¿Cómo ça va? Et toi? Ça va très bien. Hola. Ohio. Bienvenue. Wan Ying. Bienvenidos. Yokoso. And welcome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Gem Hunter Stories. My name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each week, I get the honor and privilege of coming to your home to take you on an adventure, the places you've never been before, to stories you've never heard before. Each week, I get the magnificent opportunity to take you on a mental, physical, and spiritual adventure into the art, science, history, and magic of gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. And I use gemstones and fine jewelry as a template, as an inception point to get you to begin to discover the value of your own stories. Welcome to the second day of summer. I wanted to take you outside. I thought about last night with the heat being so high in so many places all over this country, all over the world, really, because of global climate change, global warming, things of this. I wanted to do something different. So this is my backyard. This is my backyard. And for those of you who think that I'm just doing a screen share, because I actually had people tell me, oh, well, he's just using screen share. This is my backyard. Here's Chicago in the distance. This is the water treatment plant that treats all the water in Chicago. This is Lake Michigan, the 5th largest lake in the United States. And you can't really see it because of the glare, but there in the distance is Chicago skyline. So welcome. I wanted to start out by talking about some questions that we had last week. A couple of people asked questions about last week, Sarah in particular. Barbara, go ahead, bring up my screen. And today is a continuation or a celebration of pearls, because this is June and we're still talking about the month of pearls. And as I've told many of you, I love pearls. Pearls are a incredible gemstone. Throughout the whole, mankind has truly cherished pearls. And people were commenting last week about some of the things I said. And one person in particular, Sarah, hey, Sarah, bonjour. Sarah had asked a question about what I was saying in regards to Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote. So we talked about, and I told you that this is the symbol of the gem hunter. The gem hunter in the middle is the Celtic symbol of eternity. And around it is rubies, emeralds, sapphires, citrine, and diamonds. And of course, gold. But the one gemstone I don't have on there is pearls. And what I want people to understand is what pearls is. And last week, I made a comment about the road runner and the coyote. And I said to you, let's go back, Barbara. I said to you that the road runner, and I didn't get this right away. We all watched the road runner and coyote, Wile E. Coyote. And we talked about how the coyote would always be after the road runner. And the thing about the coyote that was really unique was the fact that the coyote, no matter what happened, no matter how many different mountain ranges and peaks and all kinds of things that happened to the coyote would always come back to chase the road runner. And at first, I never understood. I was just like, why he keeps going there. In fact, when you watch the coyote over the years, the coyote would always order from Acme. Acme was like the 1960s, 1970s version of Amazon. So Sarah looked it up. Thank you, Sarah, for watching my show and doing research. Check on me. Sarah looked up the road runner coyote. She says, I don't see any of that in Google. And the reason why, Sarah, and I believe, because it's subtle. Because think about it. What other force on earth would make the coyote, a person, let's say a man, continue to go after the roadrunner despite everything that he'd gone through. And you can't say, and for a long time, most people thought that he was trying to eat the roadrunner, right? But when he would order from Acme, he would order trucks, he would order missiles, he would order nuclear powered systems, he would order even roadrunner food. So the question is, why couldn't he order a sandwich for himself? And I started thinking to myself as I grew older that the only force on earth that can make people, that can make a man go through all this other stuff that he had to go through, no matter how much pain, hardship that he had to go through, he keeps coming back. The only thing on earth that can make a man do that is women, or a man, if that's what you're into. Because the coyote, I feel that the roadrunner coyote wasn't about the roadrunner the coyote trying to catch the roadrunner to eat him. I think he wanted to be with him. I think it was more of a sexual thing. And the reason why I bring that up is because that's how people feel about pearls. Pearls is one of the most romantic gemstones in the world. When you think about a pearl, you have to think about the fact that a pearl is the only gemstone that comes out finished. We talked about pearls with Cleopatra. I told you that Cleopatra, there's an old story that how Cleopatra had threw this huge party for Mark Antony. And Mark Antony was a very famous Roman general at that point. Caesar was already gone, and he went to romance Cleopatra. And when he romanced Cleopatra, Cleopatra made a bet with him that she could throw a party that was more valuable than the whole country's GDP. And he was like, "Girl, get out of here. You can't do that." So she threw this phenomenal party. And at the end, he was like, "I'm still not impressed." And what she did was she had one of her servants bring a single pearl to the party. And literally, she dropped the pearl into the goblet. She dropped the pearl into the goblet and she drank it. And she won the bet. You have to understand, when you're talking about pearls, to me, the thing that makes pearls so beautiful is the whole concept. To me, a pearl is the quintessential representation of femininity. Every culture understands pearls. Pearls was the first official gemstone. I told you in Asian societies, a pearl was from a dragon. The tears of a dragon. That's what made pearls. In Europe, a pearl was only reserved for royalty. If you weren't a king or queen, you couldn't even think about a pearl. A pearl was something that people imagined experiencing. People hoped and prayed to experience a pearl. And to me, when you realize what a pearl is, when you understand how beautiful a pearl is, then you can see the similarities between pearls and women. I think the thing that gets me the most about pearls is where they come from. How are they developed? Because every pearl, no matter what type of pearl it is, and there's 4 types of pearls. There's Akoya pearls, there is South Sea pearls, there's Tahitian pearls, and there's freshwater pearls. And pearls either come from mussels or oysters. Freshwater pearls come from mussels, where saltwater pearls come from oysters. And the thing that's common from, I showed you a picture of Aphrodite, who came from a pearl. She's arising. Here's this beautiful picture of perfect femininity back in those days, arising from a pearl. In fact, when Cleopatra came to Rome in her living bod, she came to Rome for the first time dressed like Aphrodite, with a huge clamshell, and she was the pearl. She was the prize. And I started thinking as I was preparing for the show, how wonderful would it be if people treated each other like pearls? Pearls come in a variety of shapes and colors and textures. Everyone talks about the four characteristics of a diamond. Well, a pearl, diamonds are color, cut, clarity, and carat weight. And that's nothing in comparison to a pearl. A pearl has 7 different value factors. And next week, I'll get more into the technical aspects of it. But what I want you to begin to understand, begin to see, which is the whole purpose of this show, is to understand the link between gemstones and people. Because if we treated people the way we treat gemstones, you would see, you would understand my passion. Just like the coyote wanted the road runner. He wanted to experience the road runner. He wanted to be with the road runner. In every sense of the world, that's every sense of the word, that's how people regarded pearls. Pearls was something that people had to have. Part of the reason why Julius Caesar went to England, some of the upper parts of Europe, was because of pearls. Alexander the Great coveted pearls. Even Napoleon, who read Alexander the Great, who read Julius Caesar, coveted pearls because a pearl was perfection. And what's interesting about pearls versus other gemstones is that pearls is the only gemstone that comes out finished. Maybe with a little bleaching, maybe with a little just cleaning, but what you see is what a pearl is. These are golden South Sea pearls that comes from a specific type of oyster. And like I said, I'll go into the science technical issues of it next week. But this week, what I want you to do is feel a pearl. Because the commonality between all pearls is that all pearls come from pain. Yeah. As I talked about last week, how pearls come from, most people think pearls is from a grain of sand that lodges into the oyster. And from that grain of sand becomes a pearl. But in reality, what happens most of the time, 99% of the time, it's not a grain of sand, but it's a bacterial infection. A bacterial infection that lodges into the sex organs. I mean, think about that for a second. Into the sex organs. And guys, you're not out of this too, because men have UTIs as well. Okay, or let's say kidney stones. We men who have experienced that know the pain in that. And what God did was created a mechanism for a pearl to cover that, for a pearl to secrete it from its own juices, secrete it into something that became something beautiful. And my whole journey of becoming a gemological storyteller really started with pearls, because once I began to understand what pearls, how pearls are created, what it takes to make a pearl, then I began to see that link between pearls and women that I've been with in my life. Because most women, all the women, there's not a woman watching this show tonight, this morning. Sorry, I'm all over the world. This morning and night in China, ni hao, is the fact that almost all women have experienced some type of pain in their lives, some type of antagonist. Because it's always back to the story, some type of antagonist. And despite that, think about the people, the women in your life who have elevated beyond that. Think about your mom, your sister, your wife, your co-worker, who are women. And when you begin to understand who they are, the things that they've experienced. I'm still tripping over my executive producer, Barbara Beckley, when she told me, and I knew Barbara for a while, but when Barbara told me what she had gone through in her life, I was like, really? How could somebody who have experienced that still be such a wonderful, beautiful person? And we all know people, we all know women like that. And I always have to say, men experience that too, but it's just easier to see the beauty of a pearl and the beauty of the women that are in our lives. Pearl was, in many cultures, perfection. It came from the gods. And when you think about how pearls are developed, how pearls, the different structural aspects of what a pearl is, the way a pearl reacts to the light. These are Tahitian pearls. This is how they form. But what you don't see, what people don't understand, is the pain. So you have natural pearls that have a bacterial infection lodged into the sex organs. And again, let me say this that I didn't say before. Pearls, when I was looking up research, are there male pearls and female pearls? Oysters are male oysters and female oysters. What's interesting is that oysters come out as men. They start their lives as men, and then somewhere in their life, they literally transform into women. Think about that. Think about how a woman, here's a substance that has experienced maleness and femaleness within the same structure. So those of us who have issues about LGBTQ community, I don't have all the letters, sorry. Think about how even in nature, there's that energy, there's that transference between male energy and female energy. So when we think about pearls, we think about the female energy of it. We think about the beauty. We think about how that pearl interacts with the light. So the natural pearls, it's that bacterial infection, but even what we mostly know about as far as cultured pearls, even with cultured pearls, you see that what has to happen with oysters is, in fact, let me go back. What has to happen with the oysters in cultured pearls is that the pearl is grown to about maybe, let's say, teenage years for an oyster. So let's say this type of oyster, which is called the Margarita perfectifida, which is what Tahitian pearls come from. Margarita perfectifida, pronunciation, sorry, the Latin. They grow for a couple of years, and then they have to open the oyster up. It's literally a surgical procedure where that oyster is opened up, and a technician has to take a piece of shell from another oyster that was rounded out, and then they have to take what's called mantle. They have to take a piece of tissue from that other oyster, from that host, and that visiting oyster, basically, and wrap it around the spherical shell, and then they have to place that mantle and that ball, that sphere, inside the host oyster, and then they close it back up. And all this has happened very quickly because literally the oyster is opened up just enough to put it in. And people who are experts, when I went to Tahiti, people who are experts, I mean, literally it takes them 30 seconds. Open, close, boom, and put it in, close it back up, and then they have to take the oyster and put it back into the ocean, and then let it sit for, in this type of pearl, 3 years. And there's no, and the person who developed that technology was called Komoshi Mikimoto. Mikimoto was born back in the 1800s, the early 19th century. And he was around when the United States first came to Japan. In Japan, their attitude was that pearls was there, so they closed their whole society. And then when Admiral Commodore Perry came with his whole United States Navy into Japan, he forcibly opened up that country. And Mikimoto saw an opportunity. Mikimoto was a noodle salesman. He was a noodle maker. That's what he did. He worked 12, 14, 16-hour days making noodles. But he really wanted to be a scientist. He saw the beauty of a pearl from an early age. And he said to himself, why can't I make that? Why can't I develop that? So he spent days and days, years trying to develop the process of creating something that nature did on his own. Now, a pearl is I won't say it's an accident. A pearl is a miracle of God. I came out here today because I wanted to, right here, this is Lake Michigan. For those you don't know, this is Lake Michigan. And I wanted you to see, years ago, this was a place where thousands and thousands of people would come out only 150 years ago. Not so much Lake Michigan, but some of the other lakes, Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Erie. They would come out to the shores to look for pearls. So there was literally a pearl rush. There was a pearl rush right here in the United States where people would look for pearls. And Mikimoto said, I can't go through that process. I want to create something that will live forever. When I talk about being able to create a sound, that's what Mikimoto did. He worked when he wasn't making noodles, he grew oysters, thousands and thousands of oysters. And what you have to understand about an oyster is that it takes a long time to develop. It takes a long time to grow the oyster. Then he had to figure out the process, what worked. He used wood, he used metal, he used all kinds of things because he knew it had something to do with being able to process. How did nature do it? And this is actually, Pearls is the first biotech company. It was the first time really in history that there was a connection between man, science, and what was happening in nature. And Mikimoto wasn't the only person, but he was one of the primary people who created this process. And those of you who buy pearls know that Mikimoto is an very expensive type of gemstone. So I go back to the original question. What if we treated people like the way we treat pearls? What if we understood that in each and every one of us, there's pain? There's pain that what we've gone through in our lives. There's pain that we've gone through as children. There's pain that we've gone through as adults, where our size, our height, our color, where we lived. Pearls go through all that. Pearls go through, many of us don't understand the story of what makes a pearl a pearl. What makes that white pearl so beautiful, but at the same time, it's no less valued than pearls that are silver or gold or bronze or purple? What if we valued each other like that? What if me as a African American or a person of color was valued in the same way we looked at the pearl? That the pains, the things that I've gone through in my life was part of me, but I overcame that and became the person I am today. And we'll talk more about that on the other side.
My name is Serena Buffalino. I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. My career started off as a special education teacher. When my students found out that there were kids in this world that did not have the right to go to school, inspired them. The concept behind the Haiti School Building Project was a small handful of youth in Toronto would help a small handful of youth here in Haiti. The Haiti School Building Project finally opened up last year, September 2018. It has successfully been running for 7 months now, and what I have seen is nothing shy of beautiful. One person with the support of others can literally transform the planet.
Hi, we're back, and I hope you can hear me. I hope everything is fine. This is an experiment. I would like to. The name of the show, obviously, is Gem Hunter Stories, and I think because of the heat and everything else, I want to get out of my lab. I want to literally show this show. I'm fortunate and blessed enough to have viewers all over the world, and you've seen pictures of Europe. You've seen wonderful pictures of France and everywhere. But I want to show you pictures. I want to use this beautiful city that I live in, Chicago, as a backdrop. This is my green screen. This is where I live. And I want to take you to different places all over the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and show you the connections. Show you, make it the analogies to pearls. So, and I hope you enjoy, and please leave comments on gemhunterstories.com. So back to pearls. What fascinated me about pearls is just what people did to get it, what people wore, what people did to just experience the feeling of it. That we bypassed all the things that pearls had to become in order to become what you see today. These are Tahitian pearls. Look at the colors. This is the type of pearl. Remember that woman that I told you that she held that pearl in her hand and she told me to just watch the light. These are when next week when I talk about the 7 value factors of what a pearl is, one of the value factors is the symmetry. It's extremely hard to find a perfectly symmetrical pearl. That pearl that was $40,000 that I couldn't believe in my earliest career or openings into the gemology world. I couldn't believe that one single pearl was $40,000. But when you understand what it takes to make a pearl, how many thousands of oysters you have to go through in order to make a pearl. When Mikimoto was developing the cultured pearl, the world's first cultured pearl that was marketed, I should say, he had 2 major disasters. The first time, it was red tide for both times. The first time he had something like 2,000 oysters that he had grown and he had cared for, and he was just about ready to harvest those oysters, those pearls, and a red tide came in. A red tide is algae that often affects pearls, and you have to be it's the antagonist of pearls. It's the enemy. And once red tide algae gets into a breeding ground of pearls, the pearl is destroyed, it's killed. And his whole entire crop, 2,000 oysters, was gone. But he believed, and that's what I'm talking about when I say this: discover the value of your story. He wanted to believe that what this substance was, that the beauty of a pearl was that not only was something that he could admire, but something that he created. He wanted to live in a world where every woman on earth, real quote, Every woman on earth, he wanted them to be able to buy pearls for $2 each. He wanted pearls to be so ubiquitous, such a part of culture. And he said that women that couldn't afford a pearl each year, they would be given a pearl. Because he understood, he loved his wife. His wife was the one that kept him going. His wife was the one that kept him understanding his dream, the value of his dream, because he went around everywhere. He told people that scientists and people who understood marine fisheries and things like this, and he had this dream, and they were like, man, what are you talking about? You can't do that. You can't do that. Only God could do that. And he believed that he could. His second time he had a disaster where he grew over 8,000 oysters. 8,000 oysters. And another red tide came and destroyed most of his crop. And he was ready to give up. He was ready to say, forget it, I can't do this anymore. And it was his wife, Uma. Uma was the one, once he gave up, she sat out there and just opened up whatever was left. She opened each one up. Not only because of his dream, because now she believed. She believed that it was possible to create something beautiful, even out of a bad situation, a horrible everything. He put everything into that crop and it was destroyed, and she still believed. She believed the dream that he had became her dream. And just when he was ready to give up, just when it was all over, she found 5 pearls, 5 fully symmetrical pearls she found in a harvest of 8,000 oysters. Imagine, you guys know what oysters smell like when you leave them out. When they're not refrigerated, when you leave them out, they're living organisms. They smell like dead fish. So imagine thousands and thousands of oysters being all around you, and you're shucking through each one to find something beautiful. What if we treated each other like the way we treat pearls? See, she didn't say, oh God, this is a mess. Oh, this is horrible. Just give it up. She saw that somewhere in there that there was beauty. I'm here today. My life today is because that people in my life saw something in me. Despite all the things I had gone through in my life, all the trials and tribulations, people saw something beautiful in me. What if we treated each other like the way we do pearls? What if color no longer was a factor? What if color was an enhancement? These are Akoya pearls. Akoya pearls, the pearls that most people know about. What if being white or having a different color was just as valuable as being gold or being purple or being aubergine? What if we treated each other like that? What if we didn't say to ourselves, oh, that's a green one. We don't want that. That's not what we're used to. We're usually used to this. Now we have this. What if we respected each other for what beauty we bring to the world, the way we interact with the light? That's why I wanted to come out here today. I wanted to do a celebration of not only just pearls, but a celebration of life. The fact that despite all the things that have gone through in my life, I literally live on the 5th largest lake in the world. The 5th largest lake in the world. Every day, the sun comes up right from there. The sun comes up right from there, and I see it. I'm on the other side of the building. But this is what happens. And once upon a time, I lived in the streets. I lived in the streets. What if we treated each other where we saw our potential? We saw what was possible. We saw what could process, what could happen if we just believed. It's not a dream. It doesn't have to be something that we just imagine. We don't have to quote Martin Luther King all the time, because we do it in gemstones. We do it in diamonds and rubies and emeralds. And the difference between pearls and those gemstones is diamonds and rubies, they have to be they have to be faceted. They have to be ground. They have to be cut. But a pearl is born. A pearl is something that is comes from within. That's what a pearl is. And this pearl that has this little gap right here, this little fracture right here, is no different than the pearl that's over here. It's no different than the ones in the middle. They all are pearls, and people deal with pearls. Only thing they see is the beauty. They look at the 7 as an appraiser. I look at all 7 characteristics that make that pearl special, and I assign that pearl a special value. What if we treated each other like that? When I appraise a gemstone, it's called evaluation. What if we evaluated? What if we really valued each other? What if we did an evaluation on ourselves? People are always talking about, oh, he just wants to be, or she just wants to be validated. Yeah. Why is that a bad word? Why is being validated for who you are, for what you bring to the world, why is that a bad thing? Why does it have to be some, you're narcissistic, or you're this and you're that? I'm not saying that it's not those kind of people, but why can't we be valued the same way we look at gemstones? That when that gemstone has achieved the 6 or 4 or 5 characteristics, that we are valued for those characteristics that make us human. We're tall, we're short, we're dark skinned, we're light skinned, we're fat, we're all these things. Why can't all of us be the La Paragine? Why can't you understand that the woman that you have in your life, the woman that you have decided to love, the woman that you've said, this is the one, that is no different than the La Paragine? No different. It is an understanding. It is a knowledge that what makes that diamond, that ruby, that pearl special, that is what you have at home. That is the person that has been through all kinds of things in their lives, and because of that, they have manifested. We talked about, where's the difference between being a queen? We talked about that earlier, being a good queen, a bad queen. Well, the thing that made Queen Elizabeth, gave her power, was pearls. So if you are a man, if you are a woman, and you have a pearl in your life, some of your power comes from the manifestation, comes from wearing and experiencing that pearl. That's what pearls were for. Pearls were a symbol. Pearls was an understanding that when you wore this pearl, when you experienced that pearl meant something. I mean, imagine how people felt about pearls with Cleopatra. Queen Elizabeth created wars, fought with other countries because she wanted to experience what it feels like. It's a sister, but she wanted to experience what it felt like to be with a pearl. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what this is. That's what this means to be. And I want people to understand that you and I'm trying to go back, and I can't go back for some reason. So Barbara, go ahead, take off the screen. So I want people to understand Barbara, just go to main screen for me, please. What I want people to understand and to know is that when you look at pearls, when you look at what a pearl is, when you look at what a gemstone is, think about how does that gemstone manifest? How did that gemstone become? Those of you who are born in this month, born in June, I want you to start to think to yourself, what is it? What is it that makes you different? What is it that makes you unique? When I say discover the value of your story, what does that mean? What does that mean in real terms? What does that mean? How do you interact with the light? Excuse me one sec. It's interesting thank you for being here with me. It's interesting to be here, the wind and everything else. But how does that react? How do you react to the light? What was the thing that made you different? What are the structural things? Next week, we'll talk about the chemical structures of pearl. How is something that has a hardness of about 2.5 to 3? How could it have the hardness on the outside, but yet on the inside, that there's different layers? How did God know to create something in a mechanism in an oyster in order to protect it from something external to itself, internal, something inside? How did the universe understand it and needed to create something, a mechanism that allow a pearl to protect itself? What are the mechanisms that we have used in our lives to protect ourselves from the abuse that we've gone through, from the hardships, from the disappointments that we've gone through in our lives? And yet, despite all those things you've gone through, you turned out beautiful. You how many of us know people who, when you hear their story, you hear the pain that they've gone through in their lives? You know, I talk about being homeless. People talk about, you know, losing their mother and father. We lost over 1 million people, due to COVID. How do those things react to you? How are you going to interact with the world now that you've experienced that kind of pain? And what I would maybe perhaps use as an example is a pearl. Because for a pearl, their whole life, most of their life is filled, those who are being used to make oysters, is the life of pain. That pain is inside. Unless a pearl is literally opened up and you take that pearl out, that pain remains inside, but it's packaged. It's covered in something that allows it still to grow, to live. That's what this celebration is. Today's the 22nd. Let's take the rest of this month to begin to celebrate the pearls that are inside of us. Not just pearls of wisdom, but pearls of spirit, pearls of your energy, pearls of who you are, the beauty of who you are, and understanding, with the full understanding that some people are not going to like you. There are some people who don't like pearls. Pearls used to be the gemstone. Before diamonds, up to about the 1700s, pearls was the gemstone. Diamonds were nothing. Diamonds were cheap in the beginning. So it's not that the reason why young girls are not presented with pearls is because people think differently of pearls, and because of once cultured pearls came onto the market, now it's different. But it still doesn't take away what makes a pearl special. What makes a pearl beautiful. That's what I want you to get out of today. Not just today for pearls, and we'll continue on again for the rest of this month talking about pearls, but with every gemstone. That's how this all started for me. Understanding and seeing those connections, taking time to as an appraiser, I have to understand what makes that gemstone special. What makes that pearl cost $40,000? One. Imagine someone knowing your story and being able to understand your value. Imagine someone not looking down at you because you've gone through something in your life or you lived in a certain area, excuse me, or you're a certain color or a certain shape. Imagine living in a world where you're valued just because you are a pearl. Cultured pearls, natural pearls are extremely rare because of pollution and tsunamis and all the things that happen. So imagine if you happen to be one of those rare people, and we all know one or two, maybe your mother, maybe your sister, maybe your coworker, maybe your executive producer, but we all know one person in your life that is the manifestation of everything that I'm talking about and will talk about with pearls. That when you listen to them and they tell you what they've gone through, and you say to yourself, how do you do it? How do you still see the world? We every week we play Mrs. B, Serena Buffalino, and Serena Buffalino, as the commercial Barbara plays every week, comes from Canada, but yet she is helping the little black pearls that are in Haiti. She's providing them with food. She's providing them with education. She's providing them with a life to show them that they are different. How is that any different than flying to Tahiti or going to Southeast China or going to Japan or going to South America in search of a pearl, in search of something that is symbolic of everything that is pure, taking something that came from a horrible, painful situation and becoming something beautiful. And I want you to send me comments. Thank you, Sarah. I hope I explained to you why the coyote wanted the Roadrunner, because that's what it's about, being able to step back and look at what is the deeper meaning. What is the deeper meaning? What is it? We need to start being able to appraise ourselves. How did we get there? And how did what we did and what we experienced, how that helped us become the person that we are today? That's what I mean when I say discover the value of your story. And once you understand the value of someone's stories, validate them. Let them know, thank you for being in my life. Thank you. I am a product of so many people just looking at me and seeing who I was and seeing what I could become. And to all those people, I say thank you. I say thank you for allowing me to be 61 years old and allowing me to see the world in a different way. And this is the promise. This is the continuation of the promise that I made to God 30 years ago now. That I said, if you get me out of homelessness, if you get me out of this experience, I didn't live that far from here. I didn't live that far from here. 30 years ago, this was a dream, and it's because of somebody who saw the pearl in me, who saw that I was a black pearl, that I, with just time, with love, with nurturing, with being able to get me back into the water. You have to care for a pearl. Not just when the pearl is growing up, but those who own pearls, you know that when you wear pearls are the last thing you put on and the first thing you tell, because pearls are sensitive. You can't put perfume on pearls because they'll eat through it. You can't let pearls just dry out because they experience cracking or what we call crazing. Isn't that the same thing with people? Isn't that the same thing when you have a young child, that young girl, that young boy? Yeah, I think about my nephew Bryson, who's 9. And I teach science and history, and he thought he was failing math. He said, I can't do it. And I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I said it because I remember when I felt just like him. I wasn't validated. No one let me know that it was possible. That's where value comes from. When you understand the value of someone and you let them know that they are valued. And that's what validation is. You notice that value and validation both begin with V. It's the same thing. Every week I ask you to discover the value of your story. Take that time to discover that value, and also take the time to not only to see the value of your own story, but how do you react with other people? One of the characteristics of a pearl is being able to match. So you put pearls together because they complement each other. That's what relationships are. With not people that you marry or people that you grow with, but just people in general. How do you complement each other? So, welcome to the second day of summer. Next week, we'll have another location. Until then, my name is Barry B. Mixon, and I am a gemological storyteller. And each day, I want you to take time to look at your world, look what you've done, and begin the process of discovering the value of your story. Until next week, au revoir, atatella, bye-bye.